Welcome to the Effective Engineering Manager podcast.
Hey Slava, it's your time today. What would you like to talk about?
Today I'd like to talk about the law of one-on-ones.
Tell us a little about one-on-ones and why they're so important.
Yes, one-on-ones are the most important people manager tool in the every manager's toolbox. And of all tools, I think this is one of the most fundamental because this is the tool for building relationships with your directs. And today I'd like to start a short series about things to do and things not to do, and what happens when you do or when you don't. And it's not going to be the fundamentals. We're going to have a separate, longer series on fundamentals of one-on-ones. This one is just a few very short episodes that talk about very practical things that every manager can take and start using pretty much from the moment they listen to us. And the first topic, the first law, and I'm going to call them the laws because these work. And the first law is, I call it the longer you miss, the more one-on-ones you miss, the longer is going to be your next one-on-one. And that's pretty much it. Right? And this immediate takeaway from this law is don't miss one-on-ones. And it's true for all three types of one-on-ones. Most importantly, one-on-ones with your directs, then one-on-ones with your boss, and to the lesser degree, one-on-ones with your partners, especially cross-functional partners. So what do you think? What's your experience?
Yeah, I think certainly what you just said is so important because so many people miss that there are different types of one-on-ones, and you should be doing lateral one-on-ones up and one-on-ones down. I will say this, for me, I came about one-on-ones in a very interesting way. When I first became a manager, I didn't have any context for one-on-ones. My boss, was a good boss, but we never really had one-on-ones. It was very informal. We'd meet once a year for the performance review and chat and casually. And it just never made a lot of sense to me. You would set goals in the beginning of the year and never really check in. And I felt like I was constantly having to give my boss updates of what was going on. I just felt like the need to do that. And when I became a manager, I said to myself, I really want to stay in touch with my team. Even though I'm with them all the time, I want to feel like I get a good pulse for the team. And I came about one-on-ones kind of organically that way, not even thinking about it. I would just start scheduling like half-hour meetings with people on my team. They wouldn't be weekly, but they would maybe monthly, every other month, just to gauge input. And then over time, I was like, wow, this is really beneficial because like you said, you start to build up that trust and that relationship. And I started to understand the value of it, that there really is a whole world of communication and exchange and growth and all these things that come from it just by having a simple conversation. So I think it seems so simple on its surface, and I think a lot of people take it for granted. So I'm really interested to hear, some of these rules that you have because I'm totally bought into the value of one-on-ones and actually seen it work.
Yep, true. And I took like a quick calculation on my sticky note. So in the last 10 years, I had maybe 2,500 one-on-ones, roughly. And I missed maybe 10. worst case scenario 15, right? Because it's such an important thing, right? And so one of the things I was thinking, just talking to you just a few minutes ago before we started, is that why does it take longer and longer the more you miss those one-on-ones, right? And in my case, I believe that because it's a trust building tool, right? And when you establish the trust with your directs, right, they want to have it, right? They want your attention, which they deserve. They and they have to have it, right? Because that's the main, and they want to, and most importantly, they also want to maintain the relationship, right? And it's like, I don't know, in dating in a family, try not to talk to your girlfriend or wife for a month. How's your reunion is going to look like, right? And not having one-on-ones for, let's say, for 2, 3, 4 weeks. What you're going to have is not a one-on-one. You're going to have a reunion, right? Reconnecting, reestablishing this relationship, even though it's not like we don't spend. Actually, we do. At work, sometimes we spend more time than with loved ones, right? And this is, I think, the key, that this is the reunion of people who care about each other, right? And it's not like, okay, let's have 2.5 hour one-on-one, right? No one does it, right? But your directs will drive it. It happens to me the same time. When my bosses missed one-on-ones, especially on extended basis, when I managed to get them in the room, these days on Zoom, right? I couldn't stop talking for like 1-2 hours. Okay, maybe it's a stretch, but 1 hour and a half out of a 30-minute one-on-one, piece of cake, right? So, and the challenge, I think, is that a good one-on-one doesn't have to be long, right? It's usually between 30 minutes in general to about an hour with your superstars, right? Then there's no any sort of a benefit acquired from not doing one-on-ones with your directs or with your boss, right? It's just the next one is going to be the very long, right? And there's no point, right? And if you look at the percentage of time we spend doing one-on-ones with each individual, it's, let's say, 30 minutes out of a 40-hour week. How much is it? What, like not 1% or 30 out of, let's say, 5 days, 30 minutes. So how many hours? Like it's 40 hours, right? Yes, it's half of an hour out of a 40-hour week, right? It's a very small amount, right? And I wanted to sort of take a very quick dive into how not to miss one-on-ones, right? And how not to participate in the law of missed one-on-ones, right? As a manager. And what happens is that, first of all, managers have to, and especially managers who practice effective engineering management that we teach, they have to establish a very simple rule. I will never miss a one-on-one, right? And if they follow, they'll have to implement. And what happens sometimes, or quite possible these days with so many things in flight at the same time, right? Then someone will step on their schedule. Their boss is going to step on their schedule. The big boss is going to step on their schedule. Partners, emergencies, production issues. Things happen, right? And sometimes, or often, folks who are stepping on your schedule are not interested in hearing that it's taken by one of the most important people management activities. What do we do, right? Never cancel, right? If you're managing your calendar actively, right, you never have conflicts and stuff, or you cancel things or reject or move around. Very simple thing. Ask your direct, when is it going to work for you next time, right? This week, right? and they'll usually give you a good idea, or you just can go ahead and put something on their calendar what's available for both of you, right? And you can move the stuff around, because not all meetings are P1s, right? Some of them can be skipped once in a while. You can delegate something, right? Or you can, if there's a waterfall effect of, or rather, something happened and things began to shift in the day, shift everything, right? But keep those one-on-ones, right? And I think last year, if I had to look at my stuff, so I had to miss because of a complete overload, right? And I felt very bad, right? Because of that, the principle, let's call it the principle, never miss one-on-ones, right? So moving things around, canceling some meetings, but keeping to the cadence of the weekly one-on-ones. That's these are, I think, that's pretty much all I had to say about this one. Never miss one-on-ones, and if you're going to miss them, your next one is going to be longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, I think it's so key. And I think from the other side, as someone who, looks to one-on-ones for an opportunity to share what's going on, one-on-ones that I've had with my bosses in the past, it really establishes that level of, it's not just consistency, but it really is trust and confidence. And like you said, that half an hour a week in the long run is nothing for what you get out of it. You build trust, you build a relationship with your employee, and you don't have to worry. I mean, it's like it's all of this coaching and information gathering and problem solving that you would have to ultimately do otherwise in an unplanned fashion. And you're doing that in increments over time. And so you're not really adding much time to your schedule, and by understanding the value of it, you're actually saving yourself time. And you're going to have people your people in your team are going to be more motivated. They're going to feel less hindered. They're going to feel less like their boss doesn't know or understand what they're doing. They're going to be more willing to collaborate. They're going to understand decisions better because they understand the, why their boss and their chain of command does things a certain way. It's really is a win-win all around. And that half an hour is like chump change for the amount of time you have to spend to do that. I do have one question for you. If you're a boss, if you're a manager, and you have a large number of directs, you have to ultimately still have those one-on-ones every week. And it could be, you might have 5 or 6 or 7 or maybe 8 one-on-ones that you have to do every week. So that those half hours start to add up. Do you have any thoughts on how you help manage that, especially, if your schedule is pretty packed? Do you have a different cadence?
So yes, so personally, I believe that a weekly one-on-one is the best. And the longer the distance between one-on-ones, like for example, bi-weekly or God forbid once a month, I think the effectiveness of those diminishes very fast. So what do we do if let's say if you have 10 directs, right? 30 minutes per each direct. It's 300 minutes divided by 6, 5 hours. That's not bad, by the way. So personally, I believe that of all activities, right, which you cannot miss, there are 2 really: one-on-ones with your directs, and one-on-ones with your boss. And on my playbook also weekly staff meetings, because this is where the team actually reconnects on a weekly basis, right? So very simple: have more directs, allocate more time to one-on-ones, and fiercely protect that time, right? And if someone tells you that to drop one-on-ones, God forbid, or start increasing the time interval, it's time to start looking for a new job, because it means that whoever is doing it lacks very basic management skills and understanding how people work. So keep it. Just keep the cadence and move things out or delegate. For a sizable team, there got to be a possibility to delegate a lot of stuff, which maybe second tier things. And interesting that we were just talking that, and you gave me another idea, not an idea, but rather a topic, is how not to miss one-on-ones with your boss, right? And particularly the situations when your bosses have to drop one-on-ones, right? And good bosses, they don't drop one-on-ones, and managers practicing effective engineering management, they don't drop one-on-ones. But sometimes, like we just discussed, life intervenes, things happen. And the best thing to do, if your boss didn't come back to you and say, hey, I moved stuff around, this is going to happen, then our week's one-on-one is going to happen next day or a couple hours later, right? Just call them, right? Call, Slack them, Zoom them, whatever the best, and say, hey, I understand you are busy. When is the best next time, right? And if they offer you after hours, something like, lunchtime, not after hours, this is midday, but, after the end of the working day, let's say it's 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., right? Or at lunchtime, take it, right? Because this is your relationship building and maintenance tool with your boss, right? You don't have it, you lose. And they lose too, because the connection weakens, right? Number one. And number two, the situation when bosses avoid one-on-ones, right? This doesn't happen too often. I've seen it only once or twice, right? It's not like malicious. Just people, just so busy and they're just, okay, I give up. I'm not going to do one-on-ones, right? A very effective tactic is what I call ambush one-on-ones, right? When you meet with the boss about something else, or when you meet them in the corridor, right? You just start running the standard one-on-one model, right? Let me talk about my stuff, and then I'll listen to you, and you'll talk about your stuff, and then I'll ask you for advice for coaching, careers and career advancement things, and whatever, right? So yeah, just ambush them. If it's a 1 hour meeting, wrap everything up very quickly and give yourself 15-20 minutes to and hold them hostage. Let's call it this way. That's it from me about the law of missed one-on-ones.
Well, thanks, Slava. That's great. I think certainly a very, very important topic. I think that our listeners will get a lot of value of. So to recap, do you have a checklist that you can share with our listeners so that they can start applying this tomorrow?
Indeed, and for this very simple law of missed one-on-ones, there's a very simple checklist. It consists of one item: do not miss one-on-ones.
Very succinct and very great way for folks to be able to start applying that pretty easily, and just be diligent about keeping it on the calendar. Well, thank you, Slava. This is a great topic, and look forward to more great stuff to come.
And more great stuff is coming. Thank you.